You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to Thursday Night AMP, your show about professional wrestling and mixed martial arts with more crushed velvet than Tetsuya Naito. Let me first introduce my co-host. I'm Stevie J, and I've got two of them on the line. The first one is Jason Harland, a.k.a. The Great Sudoku.
Adam Rose, you had to go and fuck it up, man. The Bullet Club, they wanted you, but now they're going to have to pass you over and pick up the Bullet Club Batman, another Adam with a four-letter last name, Adam West.
Yeah, no. My other co-host is Abby.
Damn it, that intro.
We're having some fun tonight, but we've got a lot of fun things to talk about, except for Adam Rose. There's nothing fun about domestic abuse.
He just royally fucked his entire life up.
You know, it's bad enough when you're on a 60-day suspension for apparently abusing Adderall, although he has what he claims is a doctor's prescription for it because of ADHD. Whether that's true or not, we still don't know the veracity of it, but what we do know is when WWE is in a trigger-happy mood and willing to cut people, and you're already on a 60-day suspension, your ass really shouldn't do anything stupid, and he did something stupid.
Yeah, for the second time in 2 months.
Does this guy not have a brain in his body? And that's a serious question. I'm asking, Abby. Is he that stupid?
I don't know if it's so much stupid as it is stress. And that's no excuse. There's no excuse ever for a man putting his hands on a woman. And the thing that really got me this morning, writing about and reading the story, was his wife begging the judge, after 2 domestic violence complaints in 2 months, please don't issue a restraining order. Please don't issue a restraining order. You know, it's like, what is your problem?
Well, I don't know what their problem is, so I'm only giving what the facts are that I know. And the one that I do know is that they have a special needs child, and she apparently feels that if he's given a restraining order, she can't handle it on her own.
I mean, I get that Maverick is, you know, sick and needs both of his parents, but does he need somebody in the house that at 1 o'clock in the morning is going to be screaming and shouting and putting his hands on their mother? I mean, you know, you kind of got to draw the line somewhere.
I do, and I draw the line at him being arrested and hauled away by the cops. Now, the story seems to be in flux as to what actually he did, but it seems like the biggest thing that he did was he grabbed her face with both hands to yell right in her face, and then when she got upset about it and tried to call the cops, he took her phone away, which is a felony in the state of Florida because you're preventing somebody from reporting an assault. That is a Class A felony in Florida.
Yeah, and I don't get why putting your hands on a woman is just a misdemeanor.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. That's the misdemeanor, but taking her phone away was the felony.
That was tampering with a witness, and yeah, that's a felony.
I can't follow the logic of Florida, but hashtag because Florida, right, Jason? I mean, can you figure this one out?
Hashtag party foul.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I knew you were going to get some more Adam Rose jokes in here. This is not party time all the time. This is the party is officially over and everybody should go home.
I have no idea why you would get a felony for taking away somebody's phone, but it's just a misdemeanor for hitting somebody. That's stupid.
Well, that's the other thing that I mean about whether or not to is in flux because I don't know what he did the first time, but it doesn't seem, and I'm not trying to equivalize this, so please don't assume that I'm defending him in any way. It doesn't sound like he actually hit her.
No. And the thing is, nobody knows what happened in March because that just kind of came out of left field.
Right. That one seems to have been hushed up and sealed away, but this one got out everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, grabbing her face, I can see where that would be, construed as an aggressive move on his part. Of course, his lawyer said in court this morning that he wasn't being aggressive. It was more like trying to get her attention and let's talk. Well, you can do that another way without grabbing her.
Yeah, or getting right in her face and yelling as loud as you can, because that, if I'm in a domestic abuse situation and somebody does that to me, I'm calling the cops too.
Yeah, and especially with 2 small children in the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand he's under a lot of stress and this, that, and the other, but there's no excuse. None.
There's never. And if the situation is deteriorating to that degree, I know she thinks that she needs him there because of the special needs that their child has, but maybe she's actually better off without him and vice versa if they've deteriorated to this point.
Well, another factor that everybody is kind of brushed aside is her mother is like on her deathbed. Oh. So that could be adding to the fact that, hey, I need him around so he can be with the kids if I have to be with my mother.
I understand that, but it just seems that they're combustible right now. They're bad news for each other at this point.
Yeah. And, but the part that I really loved about this, and this is probably just me bitching about our legal system. Hey, let me set your bail at $1,000 for your second offense in 2 months and go see your pastor before coming back to court in June. What the hell is a pastor going to do?
Once again, I have to hashtag because Florida, because that doesn't make any damn sense to me. So it has to be Florida. There has to be that reason for it.
And just to me, that's just ridiculous. Let's hold you in jail basically for 36 hours, and then we're going to slap you on the wrist and not restrain you from being around your wife and go see your pastor. What's he going to do? Say 5 Hail Marys and all is forgiven? I mean...
And what pastor, by the way? Is it a pastor in their local parish, or does he fly back to South Africa and see one there?
Hell, being on bond, he can't leave the damn country.
Yeah, well, at this point, I almost wish you would. I mean, seriously, I'm done with Adam Rose at this point. I'm not interested in his party.
I mean, the thing was, WWE had a perfect opportunity on their hands after that E30 special on ESPN when... I mean, everybody wanted to see him get a push and WWE build off his story and this, that, and the other. And they give him a damn rabbit, and then they put him in this weird, I don't know what the hell they've done with him, but they have missed the boat with him. And it just seems like everything has gone downhill for him since.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he was living a gimmick in NXT when he was brought up to the main roster that everybody assumed had a limited shelf life. Yeah, the NXT crowd, they dance along with him. They love being part of the Party Express that comes to the ring, but it was only going to work for so long on television, and that's why when that ESPN thing came out, it really was, as you said, the opportunity for them to do something more with him because he came off so well on that show, and everybody wanted to see him do more than what they were giving him to do, but I feel like I quote Brian Alvarez way too much, but I'm going to do it in this case because what he said is true. Vince McMahon takes a look at you and decides whether you're a superstar, a mid-carder, or a jobber. And he got one look at Adam Rose somewhere along the line and decided this kid's a jobber. He's not anything important. And once you get that label from Vince McMahon, you're stuck with it for life. No matter what you do, no matter how much you shine, no matter how much you grab the brass ring, it doesn't matter. You're still slotted there, and Adam Rose was forever slotted.
Well, he ended his own career yesterday morning, and he's got no one to blame but himself.
I agree, but you also are right when he never really got a chance either. The Social Outcast wasn't going to do it. The Party Express was not going to do it. None of these stupid things they gave him to do was ever going to get him anywhere beyond bottom rung of the ladder.
No, but now he's going to be, standing in the unemployment line trying to support his family.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
TNA will pick him up.
Yeah, they got a thing for domestic abusers. Why the hell not?
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. But I was going to say, let's talk about something happier, but I don't think we can talk about 10 people being released and go anywhere up from that. It seems like we're only going down further. So I'm going to start with the two that most people don't know about, and then we'll get to the big list of 8 from last Friday. So let's start with the Brooklyn Brawler. Jason, your thoughts?
Abe Knuckleball Schwartz is gone. I mean, he's been with WWE forever.
30 plus years.
Did they cite a reason why they were letting him go, or is it just peace, see ya?
As far as I know, it's still PC because
I mean,
I
there
guess
wasn't
they
like
just-
any incidents or any friction that he had or any enemies that he had made, because for a guy to be around that long, I mean, you would think he'd be buddy-buddy with Vince to be around for 30 plus years, and then just all of a sudden, peace, see ya.
Well, according to rumors, it wasn't buddy-buddy with Vince.
He
It was
wasn't
buddy-buddy
buddy-buddy.
with other people or other person.
Are you going to be more specific than that, Abby?
I don't
'Cause I'm
know
a
if
little
I want
lost.
to be more specific than that. I can't believe y'all haven't heard all of the rumors over the years about him and a certain other highfalutin yeah.
Yeah, I did hear something about him being everybody's boyfriend, but I assumed that was just people mocking him for being around so long when he seemed to really be doing nothing.
No, that's kind of been something that's been out there for a long time. I don't know if it's true. That's why I didn't really want to throw out there and say, hey, he and Pat Patterson were shacking up, but.
Well, maybe it would have been true back in the 80s, even if we wanted to go there with that rumor, but I believe on Legends House, they introduced us to Pat's current significant other, or do I remember that wrong?
I don't know. I never watched Legends House.
I did, and it was a decent enough show by WWE Network standards, but one of the big plot lines of that whole show was Pat basically coming out, even though we had all known for years that he was gay, and it wasn't really that big of a revelation to the world, but they treated it like it was.
Well, of course, because in WWE land, nobody knew about that. It's like wrestling's worst kept secret.
Well, Brooklyn Brawler being released was the worst kept secret this week because they didn't publicize it on their website like all of the rest of them, but the word got out anyway, so.
I mean, it's kind of sad that, if you're there for 30 years and you go from being, he was a mainstay on television, even as everybody's favorite jobber, in the 80s and early 90s, and then goes and becomes a producer backstage, and all of a sudden, see you bye.
And my understanding of it based on what I've read and what I've seen and what I believe to be factual is that as a producer backstage, he was actually somewhat influential in deciding whether guys were good enough to get more time on TV. Like, you'd have to cut a promo for him when you got called up, and he was kind of the guy that would evaluate whether or not somebody was really good at being in front of a camera based on that promo.
I have no idea. I knew that he did the backstage talking segments. That was basically what he was about, but I don't know. It just kind of proves that no one is safe.
That's true, but I almost feel like they did this quietly for a reason, and Jason and I were going back and forth on that, and I said, this has got to be because he's still got some kind of emeritus status where he can come back, or he'll be on a Legends contract, and that's why they just did this quietly instead of publicly.
I don't know. I wouldn't see why they would release him at all. If he was still going to be on a Legends contract or still, be able to come back, why? There's been no talk about him. Unless there's something deep and dark that they're keeping buried that we don't know, I just really can't see a reason for him to be released with everyone else. Everyone else you could see kind of a reason for.
Well, speaking of what people do or don't see, but I don't think there's any dark secret to this one. And this is a little weird to explain, so you'll have to help me out if I kind of botch the explanation here. Christian was let go, but not really. He was let go from his performer's contract, which means he's not an active wrestler. And he hasn't been an active wrestler for a while because ever since his last concussion, March of 2014, he's been on the shelf. But my understanding of this release is they're not paying him to be a performer, but they're not sending him away either. They're keeping him around for WWE Network and the Edge and Christian show and videos and all sorts of things. They're just not paying him as a wrestler. Have I got that right?
Yeah, he's kind of got in the same position that Brie Bella is now. You know, she's not under contract as an in-ring talent, but she is under contract for things like Total Divas and Total Bellas and Bella Lobotomies, whatever the hell they're going to do with them. You know,
I would watch that show.
You know, the outside stuff, but not as an in-ring competitor.
That's
Right.
kind of how
So
I
it's-
felt. It just seemed like it was a bit of bookkeeping to just kind of get him off the books as a performer, but keep him around for the Edge and Christian show.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think this one was done quietly too. It's like a release, but it's really not. So they didn't want to publicize it like all the rest. At least
Pretty
that's
much.
my impression. Yeah. So that brings us to the big list. The Black Friday last week. Damn it if they don't always do these things on Friday right after we tape a show, because gave us no chance to talk about it till now. But we had a huge culling of WWE starting Friday morning and going on until at least early afternoon. Just every time you updated WWE.com or updated our website, there was another name that had been cut. The first three that I saw were Hornswoggle, Alex Riley, and Zeb Coulter. So, Jason, your thoughts on any of those three, and then Abby.
I can't remember the last time I saw Hornswoggle used, so see ya. Zeb Coulter, it's really sad that the last thing he's going to be remembered for in WWE is Mex America. Just a really bad way to treat hashtag shave your back. And who was the third guy?
Alex Riley.
Alex Riley. I mean, yeah, he was kind of funny when he was goofing on The Miz, but again, what has he done lately?
Abby, your thoughts?
Well, Hornswoggle, the last we heard about him, he was suspended for a wellness policy violation, so that was not surprising. Zeb, yeah, Dutch Mantel has been around this business for so long, you would think they would use him in creative or something, because he's just a wealth of knowledge and back hair, but still. And Riley, I'm sorry, that was the most obnoxious prick I have ever had to read anything written from, except for Virgil. You know, I say just kick his ass to the curb and, you know, be done with it.
Kind of like Kevin Owens did.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of fitting that his last match was against Nakamura and, you know, basically got the shit beat out of him and introduced a strong style and, you know, bombay to the curb pretty much.
And that's the reason I actually might miss Alex Riley a little bit, was whenever they needed somebody on NXT to just completely get the shit kicked out of him, Alex Riley was always available.
Well, they've got other jobbers in NXT they can use for that.
That's true. Now,
Not many that
Hornswoggle-
rage like him, but, you know.
Oh, yeah. No
Yeah.
raging Alex Riley anymore. You're right about that. But Hornswoggle seems to be in a bit of a rage about his release. He's actually come out and done an interview where he said that his violation of the wellness policy was because he couldn't produce a urine sample in 2 hours' time. Now, that doesn't sound kosher to a lot of people. Like, okay, if they ask you to pee in a cup, just go pee in a cup. Why did you have to wait? But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, because maybe at his size and stature, you can't hold enough in your bladder to pee at all times.
Or maybe there's some kind of medical condition or, you know. He's not exactly, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but he's not exactly your normal WWE star.
Exactly, which is why if he couldn't produce pee in 2 hours' time, I might have cut the guy some slack compared to anybody else on the roster. But apparently they weren't about to do that, and then that was reason enough for him to get cut. But then again, as Jason said, when was the last time we saw him on TV anyway?
Wasn't he on some kind of stupid network show where he was getting covered in nacho cheese or something like that?
Probably Swerved, but I've never
Yeah.
watched that, and I don't think I ever will.
After I saw a little person covered in taco stuff chasing Renee Young around, that was enough for me with that show.
Well said. So, speaking of nachos, unfortunately, bad segue here, but El Torito was the next name I saw released.
Well, I mean,
Sounds
what were
like
they
a
going to
bad
do with him?
Not much, really.
They repackaged Los Matadores, so it wasn't like they needed another little bull man running around.
No.
And plus, he can go back to AAA or CMLL and go back to who he used to be. Wasn't it Masquerita Dorada who he was before he became El Torito?
Yeah, that's correct.
And he'll get more respect down there than he ever did in WWE.
Yeah, the minis are actually treated pretty well, except for Kay Manito. That guy gets his ass kicked more than anybody.
Well, somebody has to.
I suppose so. Jason, any thoughts on Masquerita Dorada, a.k.a. El Torito's release?
My only thought was like, so goes Hornswoggle, so goes El Torito. It's just like, yeah, like you were saying, now that Hornswoggle's gone, what do they have for El Torito? They broke up those Matadores, and yeah, they're gone. It's not much point in keeping them around.
No, and not much point in keeping Cameron around either, after she made all her comments about supporting Ryback and his position that all talent should be paid equally regardless of where they are on the card, and pretty much being a loudmouth about the whole thing when she should have known better and kept her mouth shut.
Girl, bye. That's all I got to say.
That is the one and only time it's ever appropriate to use that catchphrase.
Exactly. She was about as useless as a sack of hair. I mean, didn't know how to pin somebody. She was rarely, if ever, used. And when she was used, she was worse than Eva Marie. So, no big loss there.
And to this day, she has never, ever lived down what she said on Tough Enough to Steve Austin. And quite frankly, I don't think she ever will.
Well, it was about stupid.
Yeah. I mean, really. If that was the best that she could come up with when Steve Austin put her on the spot, I don't know why they signed her in the first place.
Because she looked decent to somebody in the office.
Yeah, but it's a changing world. It's a changing time. Just having looks anymore is not enough in WWE. You actually got to have the ability to do something and not just be pretty.
Tell that to Kevin Dunn.
There's a lot of things I'd tell to Kevin Dunn.
Me too.
It would be the beginning of a very long conversation. So, Jason, any thoughts on Cameron or none at all?
No, Abby stole my Eva Marie thunder on that, so that's kind of where I stand. It's like, Eva Marie, you're next.
Quite possibly, but before her, we have Santino Marella, and this one, I actually am a little bit, I don't know if I'm perturbed or just sad, but I know his in-ring career was already over, so he was kind of dead weight, but at the same time, Santino, for a period of 3 to 4 years in WWE, gave me as much entertainment when he was used, and he wasn't used in a high-profile role, but when he was on TV, whatever he was doing always seemed to amuse me, and I might be the only one. Abby, if I'm wrong and you didn't find him amusing, go ahead and say so.
He had his moments, but I just want to know, was the Cobra fired too? Because there was no mention made of the Cobra, and I'm still wondering.
I assume Cobra could go hang out with Mr. Sacco somewhere in a drawer.
Poor Cobra. He had a family.
But I guess I can still see them bringing him back at some point in the future. Unlike Cameron, unlike Alex Riley, unlike, God bless him, Dutch Mantel, I can actually see Santino, if they need somebody for a spot during a WrestleMania segment, they could bring him back just for that and put him on a Legends deal. It could happen.
Someday, maybe.
Exactly. So, any thoughts on Santino from our good friend Jason?
I was a fan of his. He was, I mean, everything except Santina. That kind of sucked. I mean, he was the clown prince of the WWE, and it's sad to see him go. I would like to see him brought back at some point on a Legends contract just to get in the ring and goof on somebody because, yeah, I mean, they fed him shit sandwich after shit sandwich, and he took it in stride and did the best he could do with it and was pretty damn funny and pretty damn entertaining with it. So sad to see him go. But again, he hasn't been on TV in ages either.
If it tells you anything about making something good out of a shit sandwich, this guy made a tag team with Alexander Kozlov entertaining.
That's no easy feat.
Which one is the AAA one? Is that Vladimir Kozlov or Alex Kozlov? Because I don't want to get them mixed up here.
It was Vladimir Kozlov.
Thank you, because Vladimir is the one that sucks.
Yeah.
Alex is the one that's great. So let me be correct about that. Thank you, Abby.
Yeah, Vladimir had as much personality and charisma as a 2x4.
He did, but that actually made it work with him and Santino because he was the straight man and Santino was the goof. So he could just stand there with no personality and Santino had something to work with.
True.
So that's 6 releases, but we're not done yet because there were 2 more before the day was over. So, yes, the culling continued. Let's see, who was number 7? Trying to remember which order this went in because they came so fast and furious during the day. What was number 7?
Was it Barrett?
I think it might have been Wade Barrett. I think you're right. And then I know who the 8th is. So let's talk about Wade for a minute. Go ahead, Abby.
I don't know if he was technically released because according to him and other folks, it was like he wasn't going to re-sign his contract next month. And so they just basically came to terms and he left a couple of weeks early.
Right. Yeah, I guess that was a parting of the ways that was inevitable anyway. He had given his notice a few weeks ago, which is why they kicked him out of the League of Nations and then just a short time later just disbanded the league. It was already useless, so there was no reason not to disband them, whether Wade Barrett was still in it or not. But yeah, they basically took him off TV when he decided to peace out. So this was just formalizing it and finalizing it and saying, okay, you want to go? We'll let you go. Bye.
And it was sad because they just missed the boat so many times with him because he was good in the ring. He was good on the stick. And it's like you go from the leader of Nexus to, Bad News Barrett, which was highly entertaining, to King Barrett, which was just dumber than dirt. And it's like they just missed the boat with him. They could have done so much more.
Now, if I'm TNA, not that I want to be TNA, not that anybody should want to be TNA, but if I'm TNA, this is the guy out of the 8 that I go after vigorously. If they have any kind of money left at this point, then throw it at him and try to get him to come there because, like you said, he was horribly misused, and this guy you could really build a company around.
Yeah, but if I were him, I would avoid TNA like the plague.
I'd hold out for New Japan, yeah.
Yeah, New Japan, definitely.
Except at this point, they've got so many foreign stars already. Are they going to add more? And we're going to get into that when we talk about Global Wars, but it seems to me like they've stacked their deck pretty high right now.
There's always room for new talent and fresh talent. They need some desperately.
Well, the last guy they brought in was Japanese. Sonata.
True.
Yeah.
Sonata. Yeah. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But there is a place for Wade Barrett somewhere in this wrestling world. The only thing we have to worry about is him staying injury-free because that seems to be what cursed him in WWE more than anybody else. Although, once again, quoting Brian Alvarez here, sorry to do it again, but as he pointed out, Randy Orton has probably been injured and on the shelf just about as much as Wade Barrett, but Orton gets all the breaks and Barrett doesn't. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Not a good reason, but,
No. So it's Vince McMahon playing favorites once again, which leads us to our 8th and final release. Everybody's favorite Miz impersonator, Damien Sandow. One-time Mr. Money in the Bank, and also the first guy to ever cash it in and lose, which probably was a sign of things to come. So, Jason, why don't you start with this one?
This is another one that just really wasn't a surprise because this was another guy, like Barrett that they didn't know how to use, that, whenever he got a modicum of momentum, the WWE would shut him down. He hadn't been on TV, and it's just, let the guy go. Let him do what he needs to do. You weren't using him right. This is one where I actually, seriously, legitimately, I wish Damien Sandow the best in his future endeavors because he was going nowhere with WWE.
Right, but it's not like he didn't try to go somewhere with WWE. This guy had been in and out of their developmental system for at least a 10-year span and had been repackaged several times during that span until Damien Sandow was the character that stuck. And from the moment they brought him up to television as Damien Sandow, I was I have no other word for it but infatuated, because he came out wearing the bathrobe and the ascot and acting all stuffy and proper and thanking everybody in the most obsequious, obnoxious manner possible by saying, "You're welcome." That was such a 1980s throwback heel that I was instantly in love with it. I'm like, yeah, modern day Ted DiBiase. He's just a completely arrogant SOB, and it worked for me. I wanted him to succeed at the highest level, but he was never going to get that chance. Abby, over to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they let him go, because he wasn't going to get anywhere in WWE, because he made the cardinal mistake in the company, and that was getting over on his own when he was not supposed to.
Right. He made the same mistake Zack Ryder made. Mid-Carter gets popular. They didn't see him as that guy, and they resent him for it and immediately make his life hell.
Pretty much. And I don't see him going to Ring of Honor. He's not a good fit. I don't see him going to Japan, even a worse fit. If anybody would go to TNA, and since he's already working Global Force, that might just be something that happens.
I see him as making it really good on the indies. If he goes to places like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and Chikara, there would be a spot for him on either of those.
Lucha Underground, even, they could probably do something with him.
Can you see him as a tag team with Joey Ryan? Because the moment you said Lucha Underground, that's the first thing I thought of.
Oh, Lord. He's too classy to team with that sleazy son of a bitch.
But that's exactly what would make it great.
It would be great, but...
Classy and trashy. That's the name of the tag team right there, classy and trashy.
I don't know. I hope he ends up somewhere where he's actually appreciated for what he has to offer, which in WWE he never was.
True indeed. So that is our big list of WWE releases. 10 different people in one way or another released from their contracts. But now, thankfully, we can move on from that topic to a truly happier topic, Ring of Honor Global Wars and New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, Jason, I'm giving you the office. You go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna start off with Global Wars. I did get to see that, and I'm sure you saw it, right, Abby?
No.
You didn't
I'm waiting
see Global
for it.
Wars at all?
I was not. No, the last time I tried to order, and this has got nothing to do with Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I tried to order a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I went through the Fight TV app and got royally screwed. So I wasn't going to shell out $50 again to get screwed again. So I'm waiting for it to come on New Japan World, which I'm sure it will be up in a couple of weeks.
Not sometime, yeah.
And I followed along with the 97 giffers that, are on Twitter. So okay. I kind of know what happened.
Alrighty, yeah, we'll go through the card that took place. It was decent. We started off with a fatal four-way match for the number one contender to the television championship. We had ACH versus Adam Page versus Roderick Strong versus Dalton Castle, and it's always a good show when you open with Dalton Castle.
I like Dalton Castle. I really do. And it's weird because I hate peacocks.
It must be the boys.
Yeah, I don't like the boys either. There's just something about Castle. I was thinking when the show was on, I was like, damn, we missed out on the opportunity to see Dalton Castle against Shinsuke Nakamura.
He's almost like Ring of Honor's answer to Santino Marella meets Damian Sandow. He's like the best of both worlds.
He's so good.
He's very entertaining.
Very.
Now I have a question, and maybe Abby can answer this for me, but what in the hell is up with ACH's entrance gear? He was wearing this Hawaii shirt and this straw hat. Is this like some new gimmick he's got now?
Yeah, I think it's some new deal he's working on, which isn't working.
Yeah, it was just awkward seeing him being cheery. I mean, this is a guy who should just go out and murder people. He should not be smiling and wearing Hawaii shirts and straw hats and being Joe Anime fan or whatever the hell gimmick they're trying to pull off here. But
I don't know. That's one of these things that's getting to me these days. It's like these wrestlers that come out there all smiley and happy, and it's like Apollo Crews. I can't stand it. I'm waiting for him to just go batshit psycho one night and start killing people.
Yeah, that's another guy who should just go out there and murder people. Yeah, these huge guys with huge physiques that should just go out there and just steamroll over people. And what ACH should do. But, in the opening match, Dalton Castle ended up going over. He hit a bangarang onto Strong, who landed on Page, and Castle pinned Page, and he is now the #1 contender to the ROH television title.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him and Ishii go at it.
Yeah, which sadly is not to be spoilers for when we get there, but it was defended and it was lost. But before that, we had Cheeseburger and Jushin Liger teaming up, which is a team I'd really like to see in New Japan, taking on the Addiction, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. And Cheeseburger came to the ring wearing a mask. #LigerBurger. They were trying to make that a thing during the match.
Ligerburger sounds good.
#LigerBurger. Yeah, they were trying to do that, and it was a decent match. Liger got hit with Celebrity Rehab. It didn't end the match. The finish came when Cheeseburger did this victory roll out of nowhere, and it was kind of an anticlimactic way to end what had been a good match, but it was kind of fitting that Cheeseburger got hit with the best Meltzer ever following the match, because you can't let a match like that end in a fucking victory roll. Fuck that bullshit.
Wasn't this the match where Liger got dropped on his head?
Yeah, this is the one that put Liger out of action for a couple of days.
Ooh.
He's okay
that
now,
was not pretty. Oh, yeah, but still, that was not pretty at the time.
No, but hardly the first time Liger's taken a nasty spill in his career, which is why he's talking about retirement these days.
In the next 5 years.
And then, yeah, he really
not like next week.
It there. Yeah, in the next 5 years somewhere.
I don't know. Getting dropped on your head might push up the timetable to within the next year. I'd be a little quicker to want to retire after that.
Yeah, but he's got those horns and that fake hair to cushion his fall.
This is true.
It's a guy who's going to be wrestling in New Japan till he's like 60.
Probably older than that. Look at Kabuki and Fujiwara. They're like 926 years old, and they're still out there killing people.
They're Tiger Hattori old.
I want to change the name of the move. If you're going to hit Cheeseburger with it, it should be the best Patty Melts ever.
The best Patty Meltzer ever. It was nice to see the Addiction, kind of just take out their angst and frustration after the match, because just having them walk away after that would have just been such bullshit. So it was, as much as I like Cheeseburger, it was fun to watch him get murdered after that bullshit victory roll finish.
It was kind of sad, though, that Meltzer today or yesterday put out his star ratings for the matches, and Cheeseburger and Liger got left off. They didn't even get a quarter of a star.
Wow.
He didn't even rate their match.
Well, I guess I understand when Dave said on his radio show the other night that he doesn't actually like moves being named after him, and he doesn't really want to go out there and manage wrestlers, and he's refusing all these invitations to do it. So maybe he feels that just out of necessity, anything that involves his name, he shouldn't give a star rating to.
Well, then he doesn't need to rate any Young Bucks matches then.
Yeah, fair is fair. You're right. He probably shouldn't.
Indeed. But yeah, we had another tag match after that. This one was for the ROH tag team titles. We had the champions, War Machine, Hanson, and Raymond Rowe taking on Mark Briscoe and Jay Briscoe. And they had built up that War Machine had never beaten the Briscoes, but they would beat the Briscoes in this match to retain the tag team titles. Hanson kicked out of the K-Driller, and other than that, it was just your typical heavyweight, hard-hitting tag team match.
Yes, but this did set up something we've been wanting for a nice long while.
What's that?
Mark and Jay have announced that they are going to be going to New Japan to challenge for the IWGP heavyweight tag titles.
Yay!
Yay!
Yes. So having them lose that match was probably the best thing.
Yes, good. Get them out of ROH and into something that I actually watch, like New Japan. It'll be fun to see them take on Tonga Loa, whatever the hell his name is, and
Tangaroa.
Tangaroa, Bad Rack
or Tongaroa, or whatever.
Whatever his name is, but to see the Briscoes take on the Gorillas of Destiny holds a lot more weight, and it's a lot more interesting a matchup than it was when they were taking on Tomohiro Ishii and Togi Makabe.
Don't you mean Hanma and Makabe?
Yeah, Hanma and Makabe. That's, not Ishii. Blah. That's what I was trying to say.
They're both equally hard-headed, but,
Yeah. And oh boy, yeah, when Bobby Fish actually tried to headbutt Tomohiro Ishii in this match, and that didn't work out well for him, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That never works out well for anybody. That wouldn't work out well for a boulder.
It's like, you should have to sign in your contract when you become a professional wrestler. I will not headbutt Tomohiro Ishii. It is not going to end pretty for you. But yeah, it'll be nice to see the Briscoes in New Japan, and hopefully, like Elgin, they'll sign a contract and stick around.
That would be nice. Because they've kind of gotten lost in the shuffle in Ring of Honor.
Can you also put it in your contract, never take a headbutt from Tomoaki Honma?
He just needs to put in his contract never to deliver one again.
It's like in your contract. Anytime you wrestle Honma, if it's his first headbutt of the match, you have to move out of the way. If it's the second, you have to move out of the way. If it's the third, you can let him hit you or not. It's up to you. Use your discretion.
This is starting to sound like the national convention for either party. Like, third ballot, you can do what you want.
Yeah, those first two he's not allowed to connect with. It's in your contract. You can't hit those first two Kokeshis. It's just not going to fly.
No.
Union rules, you know.
All right.
But we'll move on.
Next.
We had the IWGP Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito take on Kyle O'Reilly, and what was interesting about this match was his Los Ingobernables de Japón stablemates were not with him, and this was actually a one-on-one match, him and Kyle O'Reilly, and boy, Tetsuya Naito, when there aren't people there to interfere and it's just a one-on-one match, this guy can really work a decent-paced match, and O'Reilly gave him one hell of a match. Naito did end up going over with the Destino, but it was a great match.
Well, those two really can't have a bad match.
It's like O'Reilly was slapping on submissions, and Naito was working his way out of it. And it's just so odd to see Tetsuya Naito work that hard in a match. It's something that you don't really get to see in New Japan a lot.
Well, you used to when he was, what was his gimmick before this Los Ingobernables thing? Star Child, was that it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it used to be when he was a mid-card face, that's all he did was work. You know, worked great matches.
Now it's shortcut interference. It's kind of like, I guess that's kind of one of my hang-ups on Tetsuya Naito, but, you know, I hate on the guy, but I will give him credit where credit is due, because he wrestled one hell of a match. He still has that, and when he's allowed to use it, he still shines. Yeah,
I heard that at the end of the match, though, instead of shaking Kyle's hand, he kind of low-blowed him.
And then
hard with his foot.
And took the belt and, you know, just tossed it over his back into the ring and walked out, just leaving the belt there, because he respects the IWGP Heavyweight Championship so much.
Well, in an interview, he was like, the star is not the title, the star is me. So, no, he really has no respect for the belt, and that kind of fits his whole ungovernable character.
I was about to say, anything other than disrespect would be out of character.
Exactly.
He kind of makes it fit into his character, too.
It works for him. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't work.
Like, conversely, I could see him also doing the opposite if he wasn't the champion. I mean, say you had Okada as the champion and, you know, Los Ingobernables beat Okada down after he defends the title against Naito. I could see Naito, you know, taking the belt with him backstage and saying, I've got your belt now.
Yeah, that's a little bit too Dean Ambrose, though.
No, if it was Dean Ambrose, it would involve a light-up jacket or a potted plant.
Hey, it is still too soon to joke about Mitch. Okay, the grief is still too fresh.
Is this like Francesca 1?
No, I couldn't give a shit less about the trombone, but the plant, that was just, that was just wrong.
And yeah, both Kyle O'Reilly and Dean Ambrose do that stupid spot in the ropes where they fall into it and come rebounding out. And
it makes more sense when Kyle does it. Not some Ambrose is sloppy.
Is sloppier, yeah. O'Reilly's looks better. Ambrose's is sloppier, but it's still a piss poor move.
Well, it makes more sense to do it in Ring of Honor. Wasn't it Nigel McGuinness's move?
Is that who it was?
It was.
Yeah, so it makes more sense to do it in Ring of Honor than it does to do in WWE.
And nobody's hit it better than Nigel anyway, so...
Retire it.
Pretty much.
But we had
now,
a matchup next.
Is that better? Question, is that better or worse than the sleeper hold?
The sleeper hold is worse. It's like, I've got no problem with MMA holds, but your old school sleeper hold with one arm across the forehead and the other underneath the chin, just ban that outright.
No, there's still room in this business for old school moves. I mean, you never see some of the old moves you used to see. Like an arm drag or a snapmare, you never see those anymore. It's nice sometimes, instead of flippy floppy bullshit, to actually see somebody use a hold.
I've seen arm drags in New Japan all the time.
Okay. Abby just channeled Jim Cornette. I never thought I'd hear
No. Oh, hell no. It is not pick on Abby Day.
I swear to God, though, that sounded like one of his rants on MLW.
Well, no, I mean, I love matches like that, but still, I'm enough of an old school fan to actually like to see wrestling holds sometimes. You know, the sleeper used to be a finisher, and there were people that used it very well, and it harkens back to Roddy Piper, who used it as his finish. You know, I mean, not necessarily as something that you hold on for 5 minutes until the guy falls, you know, unconscious, but still, it's something nice to see on occasion.
I guess I'd take the Steve Austin approach to the sleeper hold because he had a big segment on one of his podcasts about this. Thank God I'm not quoting Brian Alvarez again. I'm quoting somebody else. But Austin gave this speech about how if you took an old school move like a bear hug and totally protected it and had somebody submit to it every single week on TV and you did this for months and months, sooner or later when that guy put on the bear hug, you would see crowds jump up to their feet and react to it because it had been sold like it was legit. And if you did that with a sleeper hold, it could be the same thing.
Yeah, but no finish is protected anymore.
That's what he was complaining about, is that they're all bullshit now.
Yeah, it's just kind of, oh well, and when it ends, it ends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, an eye poke can end a match.
Right. But I think that actually goes into what you said about a lot of flippy-floppy matches, is that things that used to be finishers are transitions in those matches. Like a DDT is now a transition spot in a match.
Yeah, and, you know, Jake Roberts is probably sitting there shaking his head like, why the hell did I invent this move for it to become this?
Yeah, DDTs, pile drivers, tombstone pile drivers, they're all just transition moves these days.
I don't know if we can ever get back to that old school, though. We can try, we can pray, we can hope for it, but we're never getting back to it. It's too far gone.
Well, good. I really don't want to see a full Nelson as a finisher anyway.
No, I don't either. I never liked that.
There's some things that are just a little too old school.
Perhaps. But what's not too old school is Ring of Honor and New Japan together, so back to that.
Yeah, we have a match that should interest Abby here. We had a tag team match where her favorite wrestler ever in the history of wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi, teamed up with Michael Elgin. But they would take on the team of Kazuchika Okada and Moose. And yeah, of course, Tana comes out, stupid Tana and his stupid air guitar. He didn't have any braids. He just had the long hair. We had Tiger Hattori as the referee in this match. But we had Tana doing the Moose chant right in front of Moose. And Moose gave him the what for with a shoulder block for his efforts on that one.
Good.
It was good to see. It was good to see Tanahashi getting his clock clean for mocking Moose right to his face.
Good. Good Tana.
And holy shit, did Michael Elgin have just super duper hang time delay on a delayed suplex on Moose. It was one of those unreal Michael Elgin suplexes that only Michael Elgin can do.
I'm not convinced Elgin is fully human. There's several guys that are on that list of no, you're not quite human. Elgin is like number 2 or 3.
He is not of this world. He has android strength.
He's got
like
something.
Claudio. He and Claudio are both freaky strong.
You mean Cesaro?
I'm sorry, I still do it.
That
I can't
Swiss
help
guy.
I knew him for way too long as Claudio. I still think of him that way even to this day.
Well, yeah, Cesaro's another one that's not quite human.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Elgin, and Ricochet are like my top 3 that are not human.
Sometimes I put AJ Styles on that list too, because not just the things he can do, you know, move-wise, but sometimes I see him pick up a guy and slam him. I'm like, that guy weighs 3 times more than you.
He's deceptively strong.
Yes, he's freakishly strong for his size.
And Okada tends to get superhuman height on his drop kicks, and there was a stereo drop kick spot in this match where Moose actually got more height than Okada on the drop kick off of the top turnbuckle. They did it in unison, which was kind of cool to see. It was also really cool to see the ROH fans just begging for Tanahashi and Okada to be in the ring together and to fight each other. It's like that's what they wanted to see. I mean, the first time Elgin and Moose got in the ring, they were practically booing. They wanted Tanahashi and they wanted Okada. They were cheering when they got in. There was a slight boo the first time they got out of the ring, but yeah, this one was one when Okada pinned Elgin with a Rainmaker right after Moose just speared Elgin out of his booth. So.
This is one of those times where you actually appreciate a crowd full of smart marks. Like, sometimes they're just too mouthy for their own good, trying to get their own shit over, but the fact that they know Okada and Tanahashi and the history, that makes it even better.
Yeah, that they knew the history and that they wanted to see that and that they appreciated it and that they were fans of it and that, to their credit, Tanahashi and Okada delivered. You know, they didn't let the fans down. They gave a hell of a match and left the fans wanting more.
Indeed.
But yeah, we'll move on to the ROH TV title match between Bobby Fish and Tomohiro Ishii. And yeah, again, Bobby Fish tried to headbutt Tomohiro Ishii and it did not work out too well for him.
Maybe there just ought to be a blanket rule. Don't headbutt any Japanese wrestler ever.
Depends on who it is, yeah.
Yeah. But Hanma and Ishii definitely do not headbutt them.
I would headbutt the shit out of Captain New Japan. Fuck that guy.
For the love of God, though, nobody headbutt Yoshitatsu. He doesn't need more neck injuries. Please.
Shit, I think if you headbutt him, he might speak perfect English.
We don't want that either.
I just don't want to take the risk. I don't want the guy to be paralyzed for life, so please don't.
Here's what I don't understand about the finish to that match. How in the hell do you choke out somebody that doesn't have a neck?
Yeah, this is one where Fish transitioned a sleeper hold into a rear naked choke, and I have no problem with a rear naked choke. That's a legitimate MMA move. But the old school sleeper, fuck that bullshit. Just fuck it in the ass.
Ishii has no neck. How do you choke him out?
He has a windpipe. That's all he needs to get choked out, I suppose.
It's a very, very small area between, like, his chin and his chest.
Surgical precisioning of the arm.
I'm happy Bobby won.
I almost think it would be like trying to put it on King Kong Bundy. It just couldn't be done.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me. You did not choke out Ishii. It just, no,
Yeah, I'd rather seen another finish, but it was time to get that TV title off of Tomohiro Ishii and get it back in ROH where it belongs.
Yes.
Well, I guess. But it was fun while it lasted.
It's been, what, over 5 months that he's held the belt?
It's been that long?
No.
It seemed more like 2 or 3 at the most.
2 months?
It's been a couple of months.
It was like 5 months that he got stuck in an elevator, it seemed like, but that's probably what I'm thinking.
I'm sure he felt it was like, I'm sure he steered clear of elevators this trip.
Hopefully he did, and hopefully he'll get back to Japan safely without any further elevator-related incidents on this trip.
Hopefully.
Yeah, our next match was a 8-man tag team match. We had Kushida, Matt Sydal, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin teaming up against the Young Bucks, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Roa, Tonga Loa, whatever the hell his name is.
Tonga Roa.
Tonga Roa. Man, nobody's name can pronounce. But yeah, what was interesting about this match was that the announcers completely got Tama Tonga and Tonga Roa mixed up when they started the match. Tama Tonga was in the ring and they were calling him Tonga Roa. And it's like, no, wrong guy. Tama Tonga is the guy with the long hair.
They didn't care.
And
they were just trying to, count super kicks.
It's like, yeah, they had that stupid super kick counter, and this is the reason why I prefer watching New Japan broadcasts, because they don't do bullshit gimmicks like put a super kick counter at the bottom of your screen. And guess what? There was a total of 0 super kicks in this match. 0.
That's why this was brilliant, because it was a complete swerve to what was going to happen later in the evening. The fact that there were no super kicks on this scoreboard. It was a setup for later.
Okay.
If I'm the only one who thinks so, that's fine. You can all disagree with me, but I think it's brilliant when the masterful plan of having the scoreboard to count the super kicks totally backfires, because later on they got all the super kicks.
Yeah, I watched it after the fact, so I can't say anything. Hindsight being 2020, I kind of felt that it was going to lead to something later, but again, I didn't watch it live, so again, that could be some hindsight getting in the way there. But yeah, were you hating on Nick Jackson for doing the air guitar after this match, Abby? Did you see the gif of that?
I can't hate on a young buck. It's impossible.
Even doing air guitar, you can't hate on Nick Jackson for...
The only people I will hate on for doing an air guitar is Tana, and if That one time Nakamura did it when he was wrestling the Drifter. It was like, oh, no.
You're like,
don't ever do that again.
That's a bad habit to pick up.
Yeah, don't ever do it again.
Ever.
Again, yes.
Again. Yeah, we're going to be Canadian now. But yeah, that would lead into the main event of the evening for the ROH Heavyweight Championship, or whatever they call their main title. Jay Lethal taking on Colt Cabana. But yeah, there would not be a finish to this match because we would not be denied our super kick party, damn it.
And the new member of the Bullet Club, which the Bucks had promised earlier.
Yeah, I mean, that was another thing that they were building up all night, was that there was going to be a new member of the Bullet Club. And yeah, talk about your old school throwbacks. The lights in the arena go out, and camera bulbs are flashing here and there and here and there and here and there, and the lights come on, and boom, it's Adam Cole in the ring with a Bullet Club shirt on. And great, give him something
Cole,
to do.
Baby!
So many people bitched and moaned about Adam Cole joining the Bullet Club. I personally think it's a good fit.
So do I. Yeah, I have no problem with it. I mean, he needs something, and this just instantly elevates him to monster heel status.
Yeah, he's already arrogant and full of himself, so why not go to the next level with that?
I think it's a great fit for him. The other guy, not so much, but Adam Cole, definitely.
The other Adam, whose last name is 4 letters long, who joined for the next TV taping, Adam Page. But yeah, there is a spot on this match that I think will end up on Botchamania with Lethal and Cabana doing like roll through tombstone pile drivers where they keep reversing each other's, and Lethal finally goes to hit the tombstone and he botched it bad. So check for that in the match. But yeah, the Bullet Club comes. It's a no contest. They spray BC on the table, and I think they put Lethal, Cabana. They put somebody. I mean, they were super kicking security guards. They were putting people through the tables. They super
kicked their own dad.
They super kicked Nick Jackson's father. Nick and Matt Jackson's father got super kicked.
They super kicked him. They super kicked Kevin Kelly. They super kicked Mr. Wrestling 3, the Mascarino. They super kicked everybody, basically. It was a super kick party that I think the counter got up over 40. I'm not sure where the final count lay.
I think it was 57.
Was that it? It got to 57? Damn.
I think it was 57, if I'm not mistaken.
It was one hell of a party. Everybody had a hangover after this one.
And so many people bitched and moaned and complained about it.
I liked it. I mean, this is what Bullet Club should be doing. And if they're going to have a presence in Ring of Honor, yes, do this. And I thought Matt Jackson mocking JR on commentary was hilarious. And I go, my God, the humanity.
I think it's also key to point out that Colt Cabana had a post-show promo after the pay-per-view went off the air and basically told the live crowd, and brilliant because this gets out on the internet anyway, so it really doesn't make a difference whether it's on pay-per-view or not, and the internet is your hardcore Ring of Honor New Japan fan base in this country, so he cuts the post-show promo and says, listen, there was no finish to this match, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not done with Jay Lethal yet. We have unfinished business. I'll be seeing you soon.
Which is a good thing, as long as he's just not, cutting and running. But yeah,
right.
Let the program continue, and if Bullet Club wants to interject, you can have them interject and maybe set up a 3-way thing. But yeah, if not, just have Lethal and Cabana continue their feud for the title.
And I have no problem with that feud continuing all summer long, actually. That would be great with me.
Those are 2 guys that actually watch in Ring of Honor.
It just amazed me how many people had issues with Global Wars and the tapings that followed.
Well, frankly, I have no issues with anything they did, either at this show or afterward. I mean, since we're already talking about it, let's talk about it. First of all, the Addiction winning the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Yay, yay, and fucking yay. Because I love Daniels, I love Kazarian. They are the world tag team champions of the world in Ring of Honor. Hooray!
I wasn't necessarily talking about those problems. I'm talking about the problems where it's basically people are now calling, Ring of Honor Bushiroad America.
I don't have a problem with that either because, quite frankly, what would be wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you have to look at it like this. These guys coming over, New Japan guys coming over, they give Ring of Honor some of the best shows and the biggest houses of the year, every year. And vice versa, Ring of Honor guys, I mean, it's a good working relationship for Ring of Honor and for New Japan, because New Japan's guys get international exposure here. Ring of Honor gets international exposure over there. To me, it's a win-win. The only problem that I kind of sort of see is that basically the New Japan guys kind of win all the time.
Well,
because of how wrestling is in Japan.
Right, and there is what specifically people are complaining about, is that New Japan gets to call all the shots on anything to do with the Bullet Club, and since the Bullet Club is pretty much your main event stable right now, the Bullet Club always reigns supreme. So I get where people are complaining about that and why, but as you already said, Abby, and I think you said it so well, the relationship between Ring of Honor and New Japan gives Ring of Honor more credibility and gives them their best houses of the year. So if that means New Japan gets to call a few shots and turn it into Bushiroad America, it's not a bad thing for Ring of Honor. It's only making Ring of Honor bigger and better.
Yeah, and the fact that you're not going to have a big name star from New Japan lose, even though Ishii lost, which I don't like, but I like that Bobby won. Yeah, the way that, wrestling is in Japan, big name stars don't lose. At least not that often. And when they do lose, it means something.
Right.
And I'm not saying that these shows don't mean anything, but you have to look at that Japanese puro mindset that it's real over there. It's taken seriously over there.
Which we need a little more of. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, that's why you didn't have your IWGP champion and Tetsuya Naito lose. But again, I mean, if they really had wanted to be dicks, they could have broken up the tag team match where Okada was on one side and Tanahashi was on another side and had them have singles matches where they both went over. You have situations like that where you've got two huge superstars in Japan and you put them against each other, albeit in a tag team match. But at least you're not jobbing people out to Okada and Tanahashi in that case, too.
True, and you knew that neither Tana nor Okada would get pinned in that match.
Was going to eat the pin, yeah. I mean, I thought it might be Moose because Elgin's another New Japan guy, but he ended up taking the pin, and he looked strong in the match. Again, if New Japan is good at doing one thing, it's making people look strong in a loss, and Elgin looked very strong in this match, even though he ended up eating the pin.
Yeah, but hearing all these guys like, Meltzer and Alvarez and all of these guys bitch and moan and complain about, the way that the shows were booked, it's like, shut up and enjoy it.
And yeah, with Bullet, I don't get the hate with Bullet Club.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think I heard either Alvarez or Meltzer hating on Global Wars. I think they both liked the show.
According to Dave Meltzer, he does not watch New Japan because it bores him.
Where and when did he say? Did he say this in the newsletter?
No, he said it on Twitter the other night during a conversation. I don't watch New Japan. It bores me.
Are you sure that wasn't somebody like a parody of him?
No, it was him. And it was a conversation that I was privy to. I don't watch New Japan. It bores me. It's like I knew I didn't like that guy for a reason. I
guess that's somebody different on Twitter then, because I've never heard him say that on a radio show.
No, this is Dave Meltzer, his actual Dave Meltzer Twitter account.
At Dave Meltzer, WON?
Dave Meltzer on Twitter. Yes, it's him.
I'm going to find.
He said it was just his opinion. I'll send it to you.
I'm looking for it as we speak, because he always speaks highly of New Japan when they review it.
Well, on this one, it was a conversation between two people I follow, and then he jumped in out of nowhere. I don't watch New Japan, or I don't like New Japan. It bores me. I'm like, what the hell?
Mm.
And then somebody sent me the conversation. Like, did you see that?
Well, yeah, forward it to me, because I'm scrolling through his timeline now, and there's so many tweets I may not get to it.
Yeah, I will screenshot it and send it to you.
All right.
But yeah, it's like, you have got to be joking. It bores you. It's just my opinion. Yeah. Your opinion sucks.
Well, here's a tweet I just found where he's kind of got a point. He was replying to somebody, and he said, they just teased the count-out spot in Ishii versus Pereira. You'd be so happy. And his reply was, I don't have a problem with it, only when it's done 6 times on the same show. Now that I kind of take his point on. Like, don't overdo a spot.
Well, no, of course, you don't ever want that on any show. But in New Japan, those count-outs have a reason, and they have...
Yes, I was going to interject and say, yeah, count-outs have purpose. There is a ring count in New Japan, and yeah, sometimes the referees will completely flub it, but yeah, it's supposed to give the illusion that you need to get back in this ring or you're going to be counted out, and it's a 20 count. It's not like a 10 count that the WWE has. This is legitimate. You can spend some time outside the ring, but get your ass back in the ring before that 20 count or you're counted out.
Yeah, so they don't do it here, but over there, it has meaning. There's a reason to it, and it's adding to the whole psychology of the match.
Yeah, I have no problem with multiple teasing of ring outs in New Japan because it works within the context of how New Japan matches are structured and how they're fought. It's just, that's New Japan, and you either get it or you don't, and Meltzer obviously doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to laugh, though, because somebody tweeted him and asked, who do you think is the new Bullet Club member? And he replied, me.
See, that's another thing that I don't get people hating on the new Bullet Club members, because Bullet Club was deteriorating as it was so much in New Japan into the Elite and the Gorillas of Destiny, and it was getting stagnant and stale and seeming like it was going to break up. But all of a sudden you get this infusion of, no, we're still here, we're the Bullet Club, hey, look, we got 2 new members now.
Yeah, and somebody like Cole, especially if he's going to be working New Japan, that's going to be great. Paige, I'm not too sure about, because that's just me. I've never been a real big fan of his.
It just seems like they're hiring anybody named Adam.
I think he's got untapped potential. I think going to Japan can only be good for him to develop.
Yeah, and probably the reason I didn't like him is because he was with Whitmer, and I just want to, run over him with a car.
Pretty much everybody does. That's BJ Whitmer's whole gimmick, is everybody hates him.
Yeah. Well, he's extremely hateable.
Yeah, and the fact that he's got flash drives with videos of strange things involving Steve Corino doesn't make him less hateable, only more.
That was Lord. Bizarre. Yeah, I don't understand what the point of that was during the pay-per-view there. That was just kind of dumb.
They've been doing this storyline between Corino and Whitmer and Colby and all this shit for almost like a year now?
Don't fuck with me, I got a thumb drive, bitch. Yeah, real scary.
Well, actually, it's a little more scary for me, but only because I've been watching Jessica Jones on Netflix, and a thumb drive with incriminating things on it was actually a very important part of that show, which, intentionally or not, may be what they were going for.
No, we all know it's sunny side up on that drive.
Yeah.
Trying to make I've
got no problem with the working relationship with Ring of Honor and New Japan. I think it does wonders for both. And all these people that are out there bitching and moaning and complaining about it just need to... They're either not fans of New Japan and they don't really pay much attention to it, or they just like to hear themselves talk.
That's actually what I was going to say, too, is anybody that's upset with Global Wars just wasn't a New Japan fan, probably doesn't subscribe to New Japan World, hadn't seen any of the other shows that Ring of Honor put on in the last 2 months on weekly television with stars of New Japan. They're just casual Ring of Honor viewers who just tuned in because there was a pay-per-view. Those are the only reasons anybody could bitch.
Pretty much. I don't know. I had no problem with it. I think it works great for both of them because
Amen.
they both add something to the other organization that other organization is missing.
Couldn't say it better than that. Well, is that all of our topics? Did we get through everything we discussed in pre-show planning, or is there anything left?
Lionsgate, if you want to talk about Lionsgate.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Lionsgate. I knew there was something we were forgetting.
Which is coming up on the 19th.
Isn't it coming on at 6 a.m.?
1900 Tokyo time. Is that 6 a.m. here?
That is 6 a.m.
That's what I'm saying. Is that 6 a.m. here? 1900 Tokyo, is that 6 a.m. Eastern?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goody. So it's a little later than usual, which is good. It's not even 5:30. It's 6 o'clock, and it will be next Thursday.
It's almost not stupid o'clock. It's more like get up and walk your dog o'clock.
Yeah, and then get ready to go to work o'clock.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's like the undercard has a bunch of guys that I've never heard of. Well, I have heard of Hirai Kawato. He's taking on Kaito Kiyomiya, I guess. I don't know. Is that another young lion from New Japan or Noah? I'm not real familiar.
That's one of the New Japan young lions.
Another New Japan young lion. Okay. Well, see how that goes. It's always fun to see David Finley posting pictures on Twitter of him messing with Kawato. He seems to love ribbon Kawato, so...
Well, somebody has to. Might as well be David.
Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well be David. Might as well
He had to go through all of it. He might as well pay some back.
And yeah, Kawada's the one young lion that I actually know his name, so I'm going to pick him to win this match here just because he's Kawada.
Because you know his name.
Because I know his name, because the other guys are... Who the hell are the other guys? Yeah.
That's kind of the problem with Lionsgate. You know, if we don't watch Noah religiously, you know, I watched one match this morning that kind of freaked me out a little bit because it was the finals of the Global Tag League, and I missed Yano that much.
Oh.
It was weird seeing him in a ring that didn't have a turnbuckle cover for him to remove.
Oh, God. He's like a fish out of water.
I know. It was like, this is just weird. But yes, Yano and Marufuji won the Global Tag League. Now, they beat Killer Elite Squad.
Oh, hold on. One quick question here. Is it Noah where the shows are like in such small buildings that everybody kneels on the mats on the floor and there are no chairs?
No.
No, they run Korakuen. They do.
Oh, okay.
They draw about 200 people, but you know they run actual arenas and stuff.
Because I don't know if it was New Japan or Noah or somebody that had a really small show where everybody just sat on the floor in the building around the ring.
That might have been Wrestle 1. I think they draw like 15 or 20 people.
Okay, it might be Wrestle 1 or DDT I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Noah normally draws at least 300, 400 people.
All right, so yeah, they're like your Ring of Honor of Japan level. They're like in that lower but more prestigious range of indie.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean they're not what they once were, but then again, you know, neither is all Japan. How the mighty have fallen.
Oh well, shit happens.
But yeah, next match we have not Teriyaki, but Teruaki Kanamitsu versus Shiro Tomoyori, and I don't know either guy there, so
we need to start watching Noah all the time.
Yeah, we need like a Noah World subscription, if there is such a thing.
Actually, there's that guy. There's a guy on Twitter that streams all the Japan stuff.
Yeah, I do have that link, that Shiro channel.
Ooh.
That's where I saw the finals of the Tag League this morning.
Somebody send me that link then.
We'll get after the show we'll get you that link. But yeah, that's.
I mean, he's got all the New Japan shows that air on Samurai, and he's got pretty much everything.
And no, we don't condone piracy, but yeah.
No, we do not condone piracy.
And that's the nice thing about that site is that it's the only thing that they show is things that are not available to be watched outside of the market of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I've always kind of had that.
Shows that are on NJPW World, they won't show on that site.
No.
See, I've always had that same attitude about anime. Like, if it gets picked up for syndication or DVD release, fine, stop bootlegging it. But if it's not available in North America, I want to see it.
I got no problem with that.
That's just my logic, but it only works for me.
Moving on, last match of the guys I don't know anything about. We have Ayat Yoshida versus Hitoshi Kumano. So yeah, that's your three undercard things. And then finally we get to somebody I know, two guys I know, David Finlay versus Yoshinara Ogawa. And unfortunately I see David Finlay's losing streak continuing here.
No.
Even in Noah, he can't get a break.
Poor David.
What did he do to piss off Jado and Gato now, apparently?
And I have no idea, but, I mean, hell, he's growing out a beard to match Gato. You would think that, they'd cut him a break or something.
But, yeah, it's just like with as big a name as Ogawa is in Noah, I just don't see him losing, especially with Finlay still having that young lion status in New Japan. I just don't see the upset going over here.
Probably not. Poor David.
Poor David, but yeah, get a load of this next match. We have Ryusuke Taguchi and Muhammad Yone teaming up against Captain Noah and Genba Hiragana.
Oh, God.
Oh, Taguchi and Yone, that's going to be worth the price of admission alone, just watching those two goofballs.
It's worth the price of admission just hearing you mark out and cackle for it.
With Captain Noah on the other side, it's just the greatest wrestler of all time.
Who the hell do you root for in this match?
Disco Yone? I don't know. You root for Taguchi not to mock Nakamura, but that's not going to happen.
No, that's going to be going on forever.
Well, yeah, I think we all know Captain Noah's probably eating the pin or getting tapped out in this one.
Yeah, that works
Captain
for me.
Noah. What can you do? Next match should be interesting again. I see the Noah guy going over the Young Lion. We have Jay White taking on Naomichi Marufuji.
Marufuji will not lose this match.
I was about to say the same.
I see the Noah guy going over the Young Lion. There's no way he's losing. Much like David
It'll be a
Finlay,
good match, though.
It will be one hell of a match. I'm excited to see that one for legitimate reasons, not for comedy reasons like the last match, but for
legit reasons. This will be a very good match.
An actual good wrestling match. I don't think the next match will be half bad either. Juice Robinson versus Go Shiozaki. That's another one that has some promise there.
I still think we need to do a T-shirt that says "Mute Juice." I think it would sell great.
Wonder how many F-bombs will drop on this show.
Probably a ton. Probably not more than your, regular New Japan show, but enough.
Lionsgate 2, brought to you by the word motherfucker. And Juice Robinson. But then, finally on Lionsgate 2, we have an 8-man tag match. We have the uncles teaming up. We have Nakanishi, Nagata, Kojima, and Tenzan taking on the Noah team of Quiet Storm, Kitamiya Masa, Mayabachi Taniguchi, and Katsuhiko Nakajima. And damn it if the uncles don't win this match.
The uncles better win this match.
This is one where I do see the New Japan guys going over the Noah guys. This is the one exception to the rule here.
I would hope so. I've missed seeing the ornery uncles teaming up together. I haven't so much missed the crazy uncles, but the ornery uncles I like.
Noah tag tournament, but they did not win because they are not Yano.
No. Noah's savior, Yano, he won it for everybody.
But no Yano on this card.
He better get back to New Japan where he belongs. It's just not the same without him there.
Yeah, it has been weird. The turnbuckle covers have stayed on in New Japan way too long.
I know.
I mean, how are we supposed to know what that exposed steel bolt looks like without Yano there?
Exactly. He needs to get back to New Japan like yesterday.
Well, if you really want to expose some turnbuckles without Yano, you could always call George the Animal Steel.
Oh, Lord. He would eat them.
That's the problem, though. He would eat them.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's illegal in Japan.
All right,
so seeing him on the first Best of the Super Juniors card, even on the undercard. So yeah, where the hell is he?
Who? I don't know. Maybe he's busy. He was doing the Global Tag League. Maybe he's hiding from Lance Archer now because Archer said this morning he was going to rip his dick off. So maybe he's actually hiding now because Archer is probably just crazy enough to do it.
He's got to hide from Archer. He's got to hide from Suzuki. He's making all kinds of enemies in Suzuki-gun and Noah.
Well, you don't tie Misu up to have him lose a match. I'm guessing now you don't cross Lance Archer either.
All the more reason for him to come back to New Japan and get the hell out of Noah.
True. Maybe he's just going to lay low for a little while.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm looking over the cards for Best of the Super Juniors, and I'm not seeing Yano, so that's... Maybe
I'm going to have to go...
Maybe they'll get updated as the days go on, but...
I'm going to have to start watching old stuff on New Japan World to get my Yano fix.
Yeah, it's just bizarre not seeing him in New Japan for so long. Like, what's going on?
Poor Yano.
Your Chaos stablemates miss you, buddy.
But yeah, Best of the Super Junior starts when? The 21st?
Yeah,
the
Best
20th?
Of the Super Junior starts the 21st at 5:30 in the morning.
Yay! Days and days and days of getting up early.
Yeah, the 21st through the 25th, then the 27th, the 29th, the 30th, 31st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th.
Good God.
So yeah, we're gonna have lots of fun and lots to talk about on next week's show with the upcoming Best of the Super Juniors. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of stupid o'clock in late May and early June.
Maybe they should call it Best of Losing Sleep Always.
Best of the stupid o'clock.
Well, at least it's coming on a couple hours later than, G1 is.
Some of them are, though. Some of them, like the ones that are on Sundays, though, come on at 1600, so that's going to be rough. That's like 4 in the morning.
3 a.m.
Is that
3
3
a.m.?
That's 3. Oh, jeez.
Well,
Yeah, the
if it's
ones on
3
Sunday.
a.m. for y'all, it's 2 a.m. for me, so that's even worse.
Although the one on the 22nd is coming on at 2 a.m., so that's even better. The 22nd Sunday, it'll be on at 1500 hours, which is 2 in the morning. Wonderful.
Actually, you know what? If it's 2 a.m. Eastern,
I'll probably just stay up.
That's
Yeah.
what I was about to say. That one's almost doable for me. Like, don't start it in the middle of the freaking night. If it's at 1 a.m. my time, I can do that. I can stay up for that.
Well, then we expect you to stay up for it.
All right, well, just remind me the night before, and I'll put on an extra pot of coffee and be up for that show.
And join us on Twitter and get in on the fun.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and plug social media and all those other good things. Jason, you got the ball rolling, so kick it off.
All right, yeah, talking about live tweeting New Japan shows, I do that at Great Sudoku. You can join me while we're watching New Japan World and get in on the fun. You can check out some of my other stuff. You can check out my reviews at AngryMarks.com when I review the New Japan matches. You can check out my cooking blog at VeggieBending.wordpress.com. And you can't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling unless you go to NJPWWorld.com. It is the best 999 yen you can spend in a month.
Yes, indeed. And it is a good value. Don't just assume that, oh, that's got to be a lot of money because it's in yen. No, actually it's not. It's $9.18. That is a bargain, people. That's less than WWE Network and better programming. It's worth it. So, on that note, over to Abby for her plugs.
Oh, let's see. I just went blank. You can find me on Twitter at Abby A. Find me on Top Rope Press. I'm in the process of learning all of your quirks, Stevie, on the Angry Marks website. As soon as I figure those out, I'll be writing for Angry Marks too.
Well, Kevin and I are always here to help.
I finally got in yesterday, and I saw it. I was like, "What is this?" It's like a mishmash of 14 programs on one screen.
I take no responsibility for that. Killer Kev set up everything.
No, it's Kevin's fault. Okay, now I know who to scream at.
And I just asked him if he had any plugs, and he said no. So I guess that means the floor is all yours.
Let me plug Kevin at Puro Central, even though he was mean to me today on Twitter. You know, he hurt my last little feeling that I have left. But yes, for all of your Puro needs, you can go to PuroCentralShop.com. I think he's added new stuff. He's got some New Japan shirts, some Big Japan stuff, some kind of death duck out there that's extremely cute that I'm trying very hard not to buy. But yes, for all of your Puro needs, go out there and visit Kevin at PuroCentralShop.com. And I think that's my entire list of cheap plugs.
Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, is returning to the Undisputed Wrestling Show next week. So tune in Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. It's not stupid o'clock, it's just o'clock. And you can hear Kevin Sullivan live on the show. Very nice guy. I had a chance to chat with him a little bit last time he was on because I was actually filling in for Kev as producer. And I tried calling him Mr. Sullivan, and he said, no, call me Kevin. I'm like, okay. If you insist, I will use your first name because I was just trying to be polite and respectful, but he is too down to earth for that. He is a great guy. And speaking of the Undisputed Wrestling Show, our Heroes and Legends champion Drew Skills will be facing Damian Sandow at their Heroes and Legends 7 cards. So that's one of many indie bookings that he is taking now. I believe he said his address is thedow@gmail.com or something to that effect. But look him up on Twitter because he's taking bookings and that's one of them. So that's Kevin's plugs for this week. Mine would be follow me at AngryMarks. Check out our YouTube channel at AngryMarks.com. And enjoy the shows because we have so many. We have Raw Reaction, Undisputed Wrestling, Glove Up or Shut Up, Thursday Night AMP, Over the Top Radio, Impact Implosion. There is a plethora of shows at AngryMarks.com, and there's columns from Abby once she figures out how to use the site, right?
Yes.
All right, so something to look forward to, and of course, always New Japan reports from Jason, as he already mentioned. So enjoy everything we give you, and hopefully enjoy this show too. And if you have feedback, send it to us on Twitter. We'd love to hear it. So thank you all, and have a good night.